Harry Lyles, Courtney Crone, and Pablo Torre, Bill Barnwell. Grand slams and Hail Marys. The sports were sporting this weekend, my friend. We'll have all that and a little bit of this. Hello, say hello to Mr. Kadish.
Yeah.
Wayne Wade from the crypt.
Kelsey Grammer, is that you?
Commanders and Bears, the finish was bananas when the Bears took the lead and then went to a whole new level with the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary. But then that went to a stratosphere above that with the video from in stadium that showed the whole field. Credit Joe Abdo here for camera work. Bears cornerback Tyrique Stevenson having fun, it appears, at the expense of Washington fans, thinking a win was coming. His back to the snap, didn't pick up that the play started till receivers were 20 yards downfield, able to make it way back to the play, but we know what happened next. Batted it up, and Noah Brown's moment. Stevenson did not take questions after the game, but did post an apology for his lack of focus, said note taken, improvement coming. He also did speak to the team as a whole today. A lot to unpack, and Courtney Cronin, you were there. You asked Bears coach Matt Eberflus and just about as many players as possible. Everything about how it played out. What did you hear?
That this was completely avoidable. This was a game that the Bears stole back and then handed to the Washington Commanders on a silver platter due to poor execution and game mismanagement. Of course, you can pile on to Tyrique Stevenson because of what happened there when he's allowing that play to happen for 4 seconds before he realizes the play is happening and then goes back to the front of the pile when he should have been boxing out Noah Brown, the last line of defense. But what I have heard from players over the last 24 hours is something that I typically haven't on my time covering the Chicago Bears, and that is openly questioning coaching decisions. When you go back to the Doug Kramer fumble at the 1 yard line, you're handing the football to a backup center, first carry he's had in the NFL, and that play results what it does. DJ Moore said in a radio interview today that he was surprised that that play was called when it was. And then, of course, the play before the Hail Mary, when the Bears don't pressure, when they don't try to stop Terry McLaurin from getting to the sideline. Kevin Byard, veteran safety who's been in this league a very long time, said that he had a conversation with Matt Eberflus about that play. Maybe corners could have pressed up. Maybe they could have sent pressure. But that Eberflus called what he called, and that ultimately it was what it was. This is unfortunate for a team that had so much momentum coming into week 8, coming off of their bye, and just blew it, frankly, in a game that they very easily could have won had it been for better execution and better coaching.
But just drill down one bit deeper. You're saying it's execution and coaching. You talked to Eberflus yesterday, and of course he came back again today, and he stands by his strategy over the last 2 plays there.
Yeah, and the one on the 13-yard reception to Terry McLaurin is, I think it's indefensible. He said after the game that that didn't matter because it ultimately comes down to the Hail Mary. That play put Washington in position at the 48-yard line. That would have been a very difficult throw for Jaden Daniels. By the way, Tony was dealing with a rib injury. They allowed a 61-yard reception in the first half, and then he was doing that on the Hail Mary. Had you not put him in that position by actually defending the boundary there, game's probably over.
I feel like you could do a 30 for 30 on this game. Courtney, we love that you were there. Now we go around the horn. Harry Lyles Jr. You see this as a credit to Washington or a blame to Chicago?
I mean, it's a credit to Washington after Chicago opened like 50 windows that you had to open in order to make this happen. Courtney mentioned the play before the Hail Mary. We didn't know if he was going to play in the football game. Do those yards absolutely do matter? To hear Matt Eberflus back that up is absolutely insane to me. He has a strong arm, yes, but to put all of your might into a throw like that, those extra 15 or 20 yards absolutely do matter. And then when we talk about the actual schematics and strategy of defending a Hail Mary, the fact that you had somebody spying was absolutely useless. Tyrique Stevenson, we don't know if he was talking to, his fans or Commanders fans. It doesn't matter who he was talking to. He wasn't focused. He had one of the easier jobs in this entire thing. And so just to have all of these things happen and then have the easiest, seemingly at the end, Hail Mary all-time fall into their hands was just, all of it is indefensible to me if you are the Chicago Bears. And I think the other point to what Courtney said, for this to happen to this team when it seemed like they were gaining momentum is just absolutely devastating for them.
Around the horn of Bill Barnwell.
Yeah, I echo a lot of the complaints being said here. The one thing I'd mention is that the Bears chose to rush 3 on that final play, which gave Jayden Daniels plenty of time to move around the pocket, those receivers to get downfield. And you could say, okay, well, maybe that's a choice. We just saw 3 weeks ago in the Jets-Bills game, the Bills rushed 3 at Aaron Rodgers, and that gave him the time to find a receiver open downfield. There's just a lack of sort of comparison to what other teams have done, even historically. I tried to find a team that gave the ball to an offensive lineman, to Courtney's point, who has not ever touched the football at the college or pro level before, in the fourth quarter of a game where you're trailing. I don't believe that has ever happened in the history of the National Football League. It happened here on 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line in a 1-score game. I mean, listen, I love seeing offensive linemen score. That is not the time to call that play.
And Pablo Torre.
Yeah, Tone, I do want to sort of zoom out because we just drilled down to the center of the earth on that micro, on that play, which is deserved because, yes, obviously the Bears blew this more than the Commanders wanted, except for how the Commanders fan base and this entire area is feeling, right? Sometimes, Tone, it's not about actually, okay, who's most responsible, but for how long you've been waiting to feel something like this. This is a team that has not felt good about its owner, its name, its mascot, its building, its sewage system, its fences inside the stadium, and suddenly you have stuff falling in a good way. Yeah. Stuff falling from heaven, it feels like, that you didn't ever expect. And so Jayden Daniels, in this way, is an avatar of something larger beyond being, obviously, the Rookie of the Year. He is an avatar of a mood that is just so long overdue that feels like actually the lead of the story as much as we just can dwell endlessly and rightfully on how much Eberflus messed it up.
Jayden Daniels is putting together, grows and grows, it seems, every week. And now, I mean, you can see what it's doing to that football town in Washington, D.C. Courtney, real quick, though, on Tyrique Stevenson. There was a lot of talk in the moment when everyone saw the video at the same time. Oh my goodness, is that a cuttable offense? Oh my goodness, is there punishment that needs to come with this? And how it's played out inside the Bears locker room over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I asked Matt Eberflus, like, what is the consequence, an appropriate consequence for a play like that? And of course, the team hasn't decided upon anything yet. Tyrique Stevenson is a second-round pick, Tony. He is a starting corner opposite All-Pro Jalen Johnson. I highly doubt that there will be any sort of benching, any cutting like that. They need him there. He is too talented to not play, but this is a major learning experience for someone who said he let the moment get too big for him.
All right, just to put a bow on this then. Okay, Hail Marys. Rushing 3, this panel is not in favor of that. Speed up the play. Don't give them 13 seconds. And then just if we can say there's a strategy for defensive backs, is it knock it up? Do we believe bat it up is a good strategy? Say it with me, people. Knock it down. Knock it down. It's still, apparently, it's very hard to do. We see it every time. Somebody still can't get it right. We've been horned. We'll move on. Texans 23, Colts 20. This was a tight game. Indy thought they maybe took the lead on the way to a win with the defensive touchdown late. But that was a no on review. But here's another story coming out of this game that I want to debate. Let's listen to Anthony Richardson.
Can you explain just you subbing out when you hurt and injured and tired?
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there, what I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told Sam I just needed a break right there.
Here's something that's drawn some attention. He asked out for a breather after a tough couple of plays in the red zone. In an important part of the game, this has led to a 3rd and goal, but they were way out of almost 20 yards out. Plus, we see players asking out in sports, maybe other sports, though, and maybe you've never seen it from a quarterback. So you tell me, Bill, how did Richardson asking out there land for you?
I'm willing to believe and take what he said at face value. If he needed the rest, he needed the rest. He's smart enough to know his own body. But this is really being used as a proxy to kind of discuss Anthony Richardson, the quarterback. And I think that's the real conversation we should be having here. Because Anthony Richardson went 2 of 15 for 83 yards in the first half. And one of those 2 was a 69-yard touchdown, which means he was 1 of 14 for 13 yards, if I'm doing the math correctly, in the first half otherwise. And that's the problem here. I mean, no one really complained about Lamar Jackson leaving the game to go to the bathroom, supposedly, a couple of years ago, because Lamar Jackson is a franchise quarterback. The questions we have about Richardson as a quarterback, the issues he's shown, the lack of development we've seen from him since entering the league, I think those are the real problems here, not Richardson coming out for a play because he needed the rest.
Pablo, how do you see it?
Yeah, Tone, I'm so used to teams lying to us, protecting every little edge they have, injury reports being manipulated, never hearing the truth before or after a game, that when you're honest like this, it is jarring, and I appreciate the honesty, if only it didn't blow up in their face in a way that I can't remember a story being so self-inflicted in recent memory. It's just one of those things where, yes, I believe Anthony Richardson might be the most self-aware player in the NFL. He actually knew, I'm not going to be good on this one, guys. Take me out. But of course, a quarterback is also a retail politician. You're winning over your locker room, your fan base, the media, everybody, and this is how you are hoisted on your own petard. His legs are his strength, except they aren't anymore, and this is going to haunt him for a very long time.
Courtney, talk to me through this. Have you ever heard a quarterback ask out of a game because he was tired from running the last 2 plays? It looked like a combined 80 yards over the last 2 plays.
Yeah, I mean, I almost couldn't hear you because of the sound of the world's smallest violin being played by his offensive line right there, Tony, because they're in there every single play. They don't get a break when they're pass blocking for him and trying to protect him. So for Anthony Richardson to have the audacity to say it in that moment, that tells me that he wasn't doing the right conditioning work when he was rehabbing from injury, that he is not ready to be a pro. And there's this conversation about young quarterbacks coming in. We had it last year with Anthony Richardson. Was he actually ready to play? Should he have played behind, or should he have been behind a vet beforehand? It's not just learning the X's and O's, it's learning how to be a pro and how to be prepared in those moments. Something certainly we're learning about in real time. Anthony Richardson may very well be phasing himself out of the NFL as quickly as he came in.
Parallels Jr.
Yeah, I could not agree more with Courtney, just because when you talk about the conditioning of all the players that are on a football field, the least in terms of cardiovascular fitness is asked of the quarterback. The most, arguably, is from that offensive line who is fighting for your life on every single play. And you could argue that this Colts offensive line hasn't been the best this year. I think Anthony Richardson got pressured on 17 of 32 dropbacks yesterday, but the plays were still there to be had. And so for you at this point in the third quarter to be saying that you needed out on a third down, I think it's just tough for you to then go back into that huddle, especially in, let's say, the fourth quarter when you're trying to make a comeback and ask those guys to protect you in order for you guys to make that comeback. I just think it doesn't seem great if you're Anthony Richardson and you're trying to become a franchise quarterback that you then have that.
Shane Steichen said it was 3rd and long. We said 3rd and goal. It was, but they were not in striking distance, and it was just going to be a handoff anyway, and Joe Flacco did hand it off, and then the field goal came. But this was a one-score game, a 3-point game in the end. Points maybe left on the field there. Taking a break, buy or sell on the other side. Game 3 of the World Series in the Bronx. In just about 3 hours, it'll go a long way in seeing if we got the makings of a classic series or a Dodgers runaway. The 2 games in LA coming down to the last pitch, both with bases loaded. Dodgers clutch, Yankees up-chucking. We've got news in Ohtani, he's good to go. We've got Judge in a rock-bottom slump that keeps on finding a rockier bottom. We got Aaron Boone still having to live with the decision of Nestor Cortez and walking bats to pitch to Freeman, and Freddie taking a meatball out for salami. A walk-off grand slam in the World Series is a dream state. Harry, tonight, Game 3, what you buy, what you sell?
I am buying that we need to see Aaron Judge's bat wake up. He talked about how this slump that he's been in was similar to the one that he had at the beginning of the season, and that it has to do with his timing because of an expanded strike zone. Well, hey, man, you got to figure that thing out tonight, because if this team does not start off hot, I think the Dodgers are absolutely going to finish them off, especially if Ohtani's healthy enough to go.
Courtney Cronin.
I'm buying the opposite. I think it's everybody around Aaron Judge who can expand their roles when they go home. Juan Soto's batting .429. He has 3 of their 5 home runs this postseason. Gleyber Torres is batting .400. Giancarlo Stanton has 6 home runs this postseason. We know that Aaron Judge has had struggles when he gets into the playoffs. This is on the rest of the
So you want the guys who are already performing well to perform even better. Interesting strategy there. Pablo Torre, how about you?
I cannot ask Giancarlo Stanton to do anything more than he's been doing already, which has been essentially what Aaron Judge should have been doing. And Tone, the thing I buy more than anything is that this is going to be a close game. Every single playoff game in this run for the Yankees has been decided by 3 runs or less, which is why Aaron Bleepin' Boone, right, that whole concept of him, unapologetic, risk-taking, disastrous this postseason, those marginal calls are going to be massive again.
Marginal call. It was bringing in a guy who hadn't pitched in a month and a half, then walking the bases loaded intentionally to pitch to a Hall of Famer, another Hall of Famer. A marginal call.
Marginal.
Bill Barnwell.
That one was
around the Hortilla.
maximal.
The Yankees need to excel in where they have invested their most money, which is sluggers and starting pitching. That's where they are supposed to be beating everyone else in baseball. In this series, they've been out-homered 4-2, and their starters have gone shorter into games, been worse than the Dodgers' injury-hit rotation. I think that has to change tonight. Walker Buehler pitching for the Dodgers, giving up nearly 2 homers per 9 innings. This is your chance. Get Aaron Judge going.
All right, so you're not hitting panic if you're New York right now. You like the matchup? You like being home? Pablo?
Yeah, of course.
You're not hitting panic? Courtney Cronin, you're not hitting panic? Harry thinks it's right there for the Dodgers taking tonight. Pablo, please, give it to me. Give it to me.
Yeah, I want to go to a Game 5. I may or may not have just made that decision on StubHub. I think the Yankees can get us to Game 5.
Where you're going, all right. Patriots 25, Jets 22. Jeff Ulbrich calls it a moment of darkness. Aaron Rodgers says the Jets need to make peace with that darkness. Pablo, what you buy, what you sell here?
I buy that Aaron Rodgers, of course, merely adopted the darkness. Jets fans were born in it, molded by it. How dare you? How dare you wear Jets culture as your costume, Aaron Rodgers? They know what's up. 5 games, 5 losses, worse draft order position than the Patriots somehow still. All of it's bad. All of it should be bad. All of it is.
Bill Barnwell?
By that Robert Saleh's firing broke this team, broke the philosophy that led the Jets to trade for Aaron Rodgers in the first place. This defense was supposed to be elite. They were 6th in expected points added per play before.
You know what you said there. You have a bad word. Please, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Pardon the interruption.
They were impressive by EPA per play on defense before Robert Saleh got fired. They are last in EPA per play since Robert Saleh was fired on the defensive side of the football. That is not the E word, Tony Reali.
Yes.
This defense is a problem, and the offense can't make up for
This team name's pretty close to becoming a banned word on this show. Harry Lyles Jr., your takeaway from Patriots over the Jets.
I would welcome such a thing, by the way. My takeaway is that we need to turn on the dang lights. This darkness stuff didn't work for Aaron Rodgers during the offseason, and it's not working now. This is a bad football team. So bad that they were worse. They're worse this year than they were last year when Zach Wilson was their quarterback, and they were actually playing good defense because Robert Saleh was around. This is one of the most impulsive teams we have ever seen, between firing your head coach, between adding Devontae Adams and thinking that's going to solve that vanilla offense, and finally signing Hassan Reddick when you should have done that literally months ago in the offseason. The Jets, get rid of him.
Courtney Cronin.
I'm going to say something that my dad used to say to me when I would screw up and do something that made him mad. I'm going to relate it to the Jets. The Jets could wreck Christmas. Look at this team. They had 0 turnovers yesterday. They allowed the Patriots. They held them to 247 yards, and they still lost. It's a rudderless organization. I'm sorry, guys. The season's over here. There's no coming back from this. And for Aaron Rodgers, it's not all on him in this 2-6 start, but maybe they broke him in this process.
They broke Aaron Rodgers, or
feels like it.
You don't think it's the other way around? Well, I mean, it could go both ways there. All right, thank you, Courtney Cronin, and thank you, Bill Barnwell, for your time. There was a banned phrase in there. Sorry, Bill. Got to know your banned words, which I never tell you about, but you got to know them in advance. Taking a break. Showdown next. Lyles Torre. Harry Lyles Jr., Pablo S. Torre, good luck in Showdown. Browns 29, Ravens 24. And it was Jameis Winston, a monster game in his return to quarterbacking. 334-3. Could have been a game-ending pick, but Kyle Hamilton had a drop. So Winston with a second chance, stunningly open go-ahead touchdown here, which then became the game winner when Lamar Jackson's last pass went wide and his helmet went off. Harry, Any concern here for the level for the Ravens with the loss here? You come to praise Winston.
Yeah, big concern. This Cleveland Browns offense was arguably the worst in the NFL, and this Ravens pass defense looked just as bad as ever against them. They are worst in passing yards per game, passing touchdowns, and have given up 40 completions of 15 yards or more. That is an issue.
Pablo?
Yeah, no, Tone, this is a sleep paralysis demon level of panic here. Since 2021, excuse me, 11 blown fourth quarter leads with 2 minutes left. That is how bad it's been. They choke away games.
And it's Kyle
They've done more than
Hamilton,
anybody else
who
in the
you got to
NFL.
trust
It's
more than
crazy.
anybody in the backfield of that defense. Dropping that pick there. We'll split the point and move on. Showdown 2. Only 3 words for you. Dwayne Wade statue. Pablo Torre, go.
Look, as the only panelist to have visited the island of Madeira to visit Ronaldo's statue, I know what a bad statue looks like. This is worse.
This is worse.
I didn't think it could be done. It has been done.
Harry Lyles Jr.
Tony, we talk about on this show how easy it should be to, let's say, I don't know, measure first downs in place of football with lasers or some sort of technology. How can we not print out statues that look just like the people that we are trying to recreate?
I
them from?
agree
It feels like
with
that
you.
should be even easier
You can
than
go
that.
back 2,000 years, 3,000 years, the Romans and the Greeks. Do we forget how to do this? Harry Lyles, take the FaceTime.
It's truly unacceptable. Anyways, wanted to shout out the parents of 10-year-old Zachary who caught Freddie Freeman's game-winning grand slam ball in the 10th inning. They told this young man who has braces, hey, we're going to the dentist. It just so happened that he had worn all of his Dodgers gear because he was so excited that his team was in the World Series, and he ends up catching the grand slam ball. Amazing roller coaster ride for that young man.
See you tomorrow.